Shalom, good morning. Kids and Youth Minister at Salem Bible Church. I'm Pastor Charles, your Salem Bible campus pastor for Atlanta campus. We're here again, still in a quarantine. We're still not as church as usual, but that's our new normal now. We're here in our second week of our new normal series, myself and Pastor Warren. And it's something we really wanted to bring you guys, because what does life look like after this is over? Like I told you guys last week, things we used to do we might can't do anymore. The way we used to look at each other, we might not look at each other anymore. Who knows? We may end up coming up doing church outside one day. It just all depends. So here we are. This is week 2. We're so excited about it. Pastor Warren has a great word for you today. I'm excited to hear it myself. So without further ado, let's do a quick prayer. The next voice you hear will be Pastor Warren, your campus pastor at Stonecrest. If you could just assume the prayer position for me. Dear God, we just want to say thank you. Thank you, Father, for being able to worship together. Although we may be apart, we're still able to come together through this virtual worship. God, we love you, we praise you, we thank you. We ask you right now, Father, that the word that Pastor Warren had today can penetrate the TV screen, the laptop screen, the cell phone screen, the tablet screen, the iPad screen, whatever facet they're using to view this today, God. I pray that Minister Warren can penetrate through that, Father, spirit to spirit, soul to soul, God, and that your word can reach and touch somebody. God, to give him preaching power right now, God, I pray that he can preach with power, passion, and clarity so everybody can understand it and apply it. It's my prayer, God, that after this word today, somebody will be changed, transformed, and healed. God, and we'll be so careful to give you all the glory and all the power and all the honor. In Jesus' name we do pray. Amen. Guys, I'll see you right after this word from Pastor Warren.
Yeah. Hey, didn't see you there. Steve Urkel here, and I'm going to be giving a sermon today, and I'm really excited. I'm filling in for you guys, campus pastor. I think his name is William something Hanks or something with a W and an H, but either way, that guy's lame. He has nothing on Urkel. And I'm going to be giving a sermon today, and I'm excited, so I hope you guys are excited as well. So get on the edge of your seat. Come on. Let's get started, shall we? Did I do that? I know y'all probably wondering, why does Minister Warren have on these nerd clothes? Well, if you don't know, I'm dressed like Steve Urkel, who was a character of the 90s hit TV show Family Matters. And as you see, he dressed like a nerd. And when I dropped the Bible, don't tell God now, I dropped the Bible. When I dropped the Bible, I said something that Steve Urkel always says, which is, did I do that? And every time Steve Urkel would do something, because he was clumsy, he would drop something, he would bump into something, he would knock some over, he would always say, did I do that? And that's exactly what I'm going to be talking about today, right? Because with this sermon series that we have when it comes to the new normal, that was Steve Urkel's normal. Which every time he did something crazy, every time he knocked something over, did something clumsy, he always would say, did I do that? And that's the topic I want to talk about today. Did you do that? Because I want to talk about some normals that you may have did, that you may have done. And I want to ask you the question, did you do that? Simply because there are some things that we do or have did and we've made it normal, but I want to give you some new normals. I want to give you some new normals throughout this message today. So I'm going to give you 3 points. But before we dive in, I'm going to have the social media team post a picture right now of Steve Urkel so that you can all comment to see if I nailed it. All right, let's see. Social media team, here we go. All right, so you should have saw the picture of Urkel, and hopefully I nailed it. But let's dive right into today's message. The topic of today's message is, did I do that? And the first thing I want to ask you, if you have done, is, did you act bitter? That's the first point. Did you act bitter? And throughout today's message, we're going to be diving in the story of Moses and the Israelites and how they spent time after being free from slavery in Egypt. They went through different challenges, right? And the first point is, did you act bitter? And in this text, Moses and the Israelites had just left Egypt. They had just freed themselves from the oppression of Egypt. And pretty much what they just did was they ended a relationship with the Egyptians. They had just freed themselves from slavery, and they were looking forward to their new promised land, their new beginnings, because they had just ended their relationship with Egypt. And here's what the text says in Exodus chapter 15, verses 22 through 23, New Living Translation version. Then Moses led the people of Israel away from the Red Sea, and they moved into the desert. They traveled in the desert for 3 days without finding any water. When they came to the oasis of the land, the water was too bitter to drink. The water was too bitter to drink. So Moses and the Israelites had just escaped slavery from Egypt. So what happened was, technically their relationship with Egyptians had just ended. And what they did was they had went to this place where it was like a dry desert, and they were out without water for a real long time, and they got thirsty. And what happened was the water there was too bitter to drink. And I want to challenge you with the first point: did you act bitter? Did you act bitter? See, when they simply chose not to drink from the bitter water. And I want to ask you the question: when relationships end or when friendships end in your life, do you choose to be bitter? Because the Israelites didn't choose to drink from that bitter water, and the same thing works in our lives. When friendships end, when relationships end, you have the choice or not to choose to be bitter. Did you do that? No, seriously, did you act bitter when a friendship ended or a relationship ended? Did you go on Twitter and start tweeting, subtweeting that person? Y'all fake anyway. Y'all fake anyway. Y'all ain't no real ride or dies. Did you go on Twitter or Instagram and start posting? I don't like people who do this in relationships. Like, that's you acting bitter. Because let me tell you something. You can be delivered from something, but still act bitter. And the Israelites and Moses chose not to drink from that water. Why? Because it was bitter. And I want you to know that when certain things in your life end, that when you fall out with certain people, it's cool. You don't have to be bitter. You do not have to be bitter. Because let me tell you something. Being bitter is a choice. The Israelites had a choice to either drink that water or not. And I know it's hard not to be bitter sometimes. Seriously, let's be real. It's hard sometimes not to be petty. Sometimes it's hard not to be extra. Sometimes it's hard not to tweet about people, not to post about people on Instagram. Let's just be real for a second. Sometimes it's hard, right? Especially when they do you wrong. Especially when they talk stuff about you. Especially when they gossip about you. I know it's hard. Because the Israelites were in the wilderness. So they were tempted to drink from something bitter. So whenever we feel like somebody did us wrong, somebody led us to a wilderness, somebody led us to like a place where we feel as though we've been hurt, it's so tempting to be bitter and to post about them, to try to get them back, to try to do some things where we try to get even. But I came to tell you that you don't have to be bitter, that you don't have to get even, that you can get God. What do you mean? You don't have to get even, you can get God, because this is what happened. This is what happened. In the next verses, the people complain and turn against Moses. What are we going to drink, Moses? We thirsty, bro. Like, come on, Moses, we thirsty, bro. And Moses cried out to the Lord. He was like, God, help me. What we going to drink? And the Lord showed Moses a piece of wood, and Moses threw it in the water, and this made the water good to drink. So what happened was Moses cried out to God. Moses said, God, like I need your help. Like, this water is bitter. We don't want to be bitter. We don't want to drink from something that's bitter. God, we need your help. And God showed Moses a piece of wood, and he threw it in the water. So I came to tell you that whenever you feel bitter, whenever you feel like you got to try to get back at somebody, whenever you feel like you got to do somebody wrong who wronged you, a friend, a homeboy, a homegirl, a supposed ride or die, a girlfriend, boyfriend, I came to tell you that you got to cry out to the Lord for help. And that's okay. You got to say, God, I'm tempted to tweet about this person, but help me. God, I'm tempted to post about this person, but help me. God, I'm tempted to smack this person in the back of their head, but help me. Help me, God. Because God does not want you drinking from what? Anything bitter. So the question becomes, did I do that? Did I? Was I bitter in my life? Was I bitter in a relationship? Was I bitter from a friendship? Was I bitter from not being a star player on the football team and somebody else having that moment of shine? Was I bitter from not being a star player on my basketball team when I didn't make the cheerleading team, when things didn't work out the way I wanted them to work out? Was I bitter when the person I liked somebody else? Was I bitter when my homeboy or homegirl who was supposed to be my homie ended up dating the person I liked? Was I bitter? So I came to tell you that being bitter is a choice. You don't have to get even. You can get God. Get God by saying, Lord, I need your help. That is the first point. Did you act bitter? Okay, now that we got the first point, the second point is, did you act out of anger? No, seriously, did you act out of anger? See, a lot of us have made that a normal, where as soon as something happened, we're going off. No. Like, we're just going off. We're just getting mad. Or as soon as something don't go our way, we, come on, dude. Bruh. Like you always acting out of anger. You always upset. You always mad. You always pouting. You always in your what? Feelings. Like, get out your feelings, right? And I came to tell you that that's not going to be tolerated at the next level. Many of us are going to high school. Many of us are seniors about to graduate high school and go to college. Many of us are maybe 6th grade about to go to 7th grade, 8th grade about to go to 9th grade, or whatever, right? And I want you to know that you got to stop acting out of anger. That sometimes you got to stop and say, hold on, let me think. Let me just process my emotions. Because a lot of us have made that a normal. And let me tell you where Moses went wrong. Moses acted out of what? Anger. Here we go. In Numbers chapter 20, verses 9 through 12. It says that first the Israelites, this has happened further down the line in the story. Moses and the Israelites again found themselves in the wilderness. And Moses got upset with the Israelites because they once again got thirsty. And this is what happened in the story. So Moses did as he was told. He took the staff from the place where it was kept before the Lord. Then he and Aaron summoned the people to come and gather at the rock. Listen, you rebels, he shouted. He was mad. Must we bring you water from this rock? Then Moses raised his hand and struck the rock twice with the staff, and water gushed out. And then the Lord said to Moses and Aaron, because you did not trust me enough to demonstrate my holiness to the people of Israel, you will not lead them into the promised land. So what happened was, the Israelites were thirsty again. They needed water. Like they like really like embodiment of that episode from SpongeBob. Water. Like they needed water like bad. And God told Moses to speak to the rock. Like God was like, Moses, speak to the rock. Like, hey rock, give us water. That's literally all he had to do. God told Moses to speak to the rock. But Moses literally got upset and took what was in his hand, which was the staff, and beat the rock. Like, bro, what the rock do to you? The rock ain't do nothing to you. So Moses literally beat the rock. He hit the rock. And what happened is, after that, God said, because you, Moses and Aaron, you all did not trust me enough to just speak to the rock. Since y'all struck the rock, hit the rock, beat the rock, stumped the rock, jumped the rock, y'all will not enter the promised land that I have promised for y'all. And that's the whole point I'm trying to talk about with this second point. Did you do that? Did you literally act out of anger in some situations in your life? Sometimes we got to slow down. Because Moses acted out of anger, because he was so upset and mad and made a decision out of anger, he was not able to get to the promised land that God had promised for him. And I came to tell you that in order for you to reach the next level, in order for you to try to get and obtain some of your goals, you got to stop acting out of anger. As soon as somebody say something to you, as soon as somebody want to give you pointers on your game in soccer, on your game in basketball, on your game in football, you ready to get mad. You ready to be angry. As soon as something don't go your way, you upset and you mad. I came to tell you that you got to stop acting out of anger. You have to. Because why? It can be detrimental to you. And let me tell you something. Moses did this simply because this is in Numbers. If we rewind in Exodus a few chapters before, God had the Israelites were in a similar situation, and God told Moses to strike the rock. But this time God told Moses to speak to the rock. And the thing is, Moses thought that the same thing that he did last time would work this time. And Moses hit the rock last time. He hit the rock last time, but he was supposed to speak to the rock this time, but he hit it anyway. And I came to tell you that some of the things that you think will worked for you in the past will not fly for you in this next stage in your life. Pouting is not going to fly for you in high school. Always getting angry, always getting mad for certain decisions is not going to fly if you're trying to make the cheerleading team, if you're trying to make varsity basketball, if you're trying to be in college, if you're trying to do some things. It's not going to fly. Let me tell you a quick story. During my middle school years, I played AAU on a basketball team, which is I played for one of the best teams in St. Louis. One of the people who I played with is Jason Tatum. He's currently in the NBA for the Boston Celtics right now. And what we would do is we would travel around and play many of the best teams. And we had an A team and we had a B team. At first, I was on a B team. Your boy didn't like that too much. But I had played so well in the previous tournaments that I got bumped up to the A team. And then as I kept playing, I was getting more playing time, and I was this close to like being one of the starting players on the A team. And what happened was we went to Texas one summer, and it was the first game of the tournament, and the guy who was playing over me, he had made like a boneheaded mistake. So the coach literally put me in, like immediately, boom, put me in. The coach put me in, and what happened was, I did something, I acted out of anger that I still regret to this day. I remember I had the ball in my hand, I was dribbling down the court. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm finna cross them over, you know. I hit one dude with like a crossover, boom, he went the other way. I'm like, yeah, ooh. I had all this momentum, and I'm going towards the basket. And right when I was about to shoot, my teammate in the corner was like, hey bro, I'm open. So I threw the ball in the corner, and then it got intercepted by someone on the opposite team. And instead of hustling my butt back on defense, I sat there pouting and mad. And what happened was the game was still going, and the person who stole the ball from the other team had missed a shot. So my teammates got the rebound, and I'm still on the opposite end of the court, pouting and mad. So they tried to throw me the ball. I said, hey Warren, look up. They tried to throw me the ball, but because I was pouting and angry and upset, the ball rolled right past my feet. And guess what happened? The coach took me out, and I was benched for the rest of the tournament. After all that progress I made, because of me acting out of anger, being upset, it was detrimental to me. So similar to Moses, because I was acting out of anger, because Moses was acting out of anger, he wasn't able to get into the best parts of his future. And because I was acting out of anger, I did something that was detrimental. All that work just to digress. So I came to tell you that you can't act out of anger. If I were to just say, you know what, it's going to be okay. Things always won't go my way, you know. And I came to tell you that things always won't go your way. Moses was upset at the people because they kept getting on his nerves. They kept losing faith. They kept saying, Moses, what are we going to drink? He like, bro, God just gave you water from a rock. Why are you tripping? And Moses was upset. And I came to tell you that even when people make you upset, even when coaches make you upset and you're not getting the playing time you want, even when life makes you upset, you don't get into the college that you may want to get into, even when certain things make you upset, people, things, situations, you do not need to act out of anger. Because I did that, and you see where it got me, right? So do not act out of what? Anger. The third and final point is, did you hold up your end? Did you do that? Steve Urkel's still here. No, seriously, did you hold up your end? And you're going to find what I mean about that shortly. And this is another part in the story of Moses where they found themselves at a war with an opposing nation, and people on Moses' team, his homies, his homegirls, had to hold up their end in order for them to be successful. This is in Exodus chapter 17, verses 8 through 13, New Living Translation version. While the people of Israel were at war, the warriors of Amalek attacked them. Moses commanded Joshua, choose some men to go out and fight the army of Amalek for us. Tomorrow I will stand at the top of the hill, holding the staff of God in my hand. So Joshua did what Moses had commanded and fought the army of Amalek. Meanwhile, Moses and Aaron and Hur climbed to the top of a nearby hill. As long as Moses held up the staff in his hand, the Israelites had the advantage. But whenever he dropped his hand, the Amalekites gained their advantage. Moses' arms soon became so tired he could no longer hold them up. So Aaron and Hur found a stone for him to sit on. They then stood on each side of Moses, holding up his hands so his hands held steady until sunset. As a result, Joshua overwhelmed the army in the battle. So Moses and the Israelites found themselves at war. And Moses, Aaron, and Hur went to the top of a hill, and every time Moses would hold the staff in the air with his two arms, the Israelites would start winning, right? Like, think of it like a basketball game. Like, they'll take the lead, and they would start winning. But every time Moses' arms got tired, it was like, oh, God, bro, like, this is hard. Like, every time he put his arms down, they would start losing the war. So Aaron and Hur decided, you know what? All his arms got to do is be in the air. It don't matter how they got to be in the air, as long as they in the air. So what they did was they set Moses on a rock, and they held Moses' arms on both sides. Aaron was on one side, Hur was on the other side, and they helped him hold his arms up so as he lifted the staff. And in the result of that, they end up winning the war. So Moses would not have been able to win the war if it had not been for Aaron and Hur holding up their part. And that's the third point. Did you hold up your end? Because with this quarantine going on, many of our parents are still working. Many of our parents are still going to and from work. And with you being in middle school and or high school, your parents are counting on you for something to hold up your end, whether if it's chores, whether if it's taking out the trash, whether if it's cleaning up, whether if it's babysitting your sisters. I came to ask you, are you holding up your end? Seriously. Are you just playing Minecraft or Fortnite? Are you on Instagram all day, chilling, cooling, taking naps all? No, like, are you doing that, or are you holding up your end? And I'm not saying that you can't chill, that you can't watch Netflix and nothing like that, but I came to ask you, are you also helping your parents? Are you also playing your part? Are you also helping them? Because what happened in this story is that Moses, when Moses got tired, he didn't have to ask Aaron and Hur to help. He didn't say, oh my God, I'm tired, come help me. Aaron and Hur saw that he was tired and offered themselves to help. So I came to ask you, when your parents coming home from work, or when your parents are working all these hours, are you offering yourself? Are you waiting to be asked, or are you offering yourself? And a lot of us have made it a normal where we just chilling and kicking and cooling, but I kind of want to give you a new normal and for you to be able to be inspired and maybe start doing some things around the house. Maybe you can start doing the dishes. Maybe you can start sweeping or vacuuming. Point I'm trying to make is there's something that you can be holding up in your house. There's something that you can be doing to play your role, to play your part, to do something that takes the pressure off the Moses in your family, that takes the pressure off your mom, takes the pressure off your dad, that takes the pressure off your grandparents, your aunts, your uncles, your guardian. There's something in your house that you can be doing. Are you holding up your end? And because of Aaron and Hur, Moses was able to conquer the war. And there's certain things that your family is going to be able to conquer and do as long as you hold up your end. Your end can even be you completing your schoolwork, making sure your schoolwork is done, taking care of your responsibilities, making sure everything that they told you to do is in order. It's making sure that your little sibling is doing their schoolwork, is waking up on time for online classes. Are you holding up your end? The 3 points, once again, in this message of, did I do that? The first point is, did you act bitter? The second point is, did you act out of anger? And the third point is, did you hold up your end? I pray this message has blessed you in this series that we call The New Normal, because a lot of things are happening in this world right now with the pandemic. And I want to be able to give you a new normal, right? I want to be able to give you some things that should be normal for our lives. And that was the purpose of this message, is to look at the old things that we made normal so that we can be able to examine and say, hey, you know what? I want to make this a new normal for my life. So with the first point, did you act bitter? Stop acting bitter. If you act bitter, that's okay. I gave you points on how to no longer act bitter. And the second point is, did you act out of anger? If you acted out of anger, if you act out of anger a lot, that's okay. We talked about that today. Stop acting out of anger. That's your new normal. You no longer act in anger. You no longer act out of anger. The third point is, my Steve Urkel glasses. The third point is, did you hold up your end? Did you hold up your end? If you haven't been holding up your end, it's never too late to pick up your end and hold it up. So I pray this message has blessed you, and we cannot wait to see you all again next week. Thank you. Hey, we out.
Wow, what a word from heaven. I was blessed by it. I pray you guys were blessed by it. That new normal is what we're in. That's week 2 of this new series. I'm so excited about it. Now, next week, moving forward, we have our Mother's Day program. That'll be one program for our for both kids and youth ministry. So it's one program next week, and that following week on the 17th, me and Pastor Warren both will be back for the co-sermon to wrap up this series. So guys, you know what we ask you to do in our Zoom call for my Chosen G and my champions. Get those emails sent to us. We love to see them. We're ready to get them. We're raring to go for that Mother's Day program next week. And also remember the 17th afterwards, we wrap up the series of The New Normal. Guys, look, I love you. Words can't express how much we miss you right now. And remember, subscribe to the YouTube page and the Facebook page, and it's located on the screen right below where I'm pointing. The YouTube page and the Next Gen Chosen G Champions for Christ, that page also. Guys, we love you. We miss you. Until next time, shalom.